3, 2, 1. Welcome to this week's episode of
Following the Way.
OMG. Well, this week we had a couple of tiny little events, such as surprising Ellen.
Oh yeah, we surprised Ellen with a thank you gift.
Yeah, she spent 45 minutes on finishing the animation. No, probably
Heaps longer on the whole thing.
Thank you so much, Ellen. So here's a little clip of us surprising her. To say thank you to Ellen, we decided to fill our van with balloons that were filled with lollies and chocolates. We did try and surprise Ellen, but keeping secrets is probably not really Lydia's forte. Oh well, thank you for acting super surprised, Ellen. Appreciate it. Whoa!
Wow, guys! This is a thank you. I should give that one.
But Ellen had already picked up on it by then.
You're so, oh my gosh! You should not.
It's mine. Look, this has it for you.
Cute. This week also we had to settle a score with Monopoly Deal. What's the history between us and Monopoly Deal?
I always lose Monopoly Deal.
Yeah. Lydia always goes, oh, it's only because I'm lucky. Whereas I actually think there's skill. So anyway, we put a wager on it. We played some Monopoly Deal, best of 3. Let's see what happened.
Joe's really lucky when it comes to Monopoly Deal.
Because you're trashy trash.
No, it's luck. That was literally luck.
Why don't we play best out of 2?
3.
If you win best out of 3, I'll take a bath tomorrow in one of the puddles out on the driveway.
The nude?
Not in the nudie.
And I don't have to do anything if I lose because it's so likely that I'm going to lose.
Yeah.
Okay. Deal. Slide deal.
Well, maybe luck is a real thing because somehow Lydia managed to beat me twice in a row. Well, I had to take a cold bath the next day, but we struggled finding any puddles.
You ready?
Ready.
Where are the puddles? There's actual not. Here's a puddle. Paint puddle. There was one around here. There's kind of a puddle.
Oh, well. You like what you see? With our Monopoly Deal score settled, it's time to take you guys on an in-depth tour of the van. We did a lot of planning this week, so we thought we might use this video to show you our favourite aspects of the van build thus far. I don't have a heck of a lot to show you, but what we did want to do is finally do a week where we actually talk a bit about what's going on with this van. Because usually it just comes across as though we don't know anything, because
We don't.
we don't really know what we're doing, but we do know what we have done now. So we're going to take a bit of time this week to actually tell you about this beautiful looking van. So we're going to go from the bottom, I suppose, when we initially... First thing that we did is we stripped the van, and we had Nadsy and Samara come and visit, and Nadsy helped us put these structural battens in. The structural battens were made of 12mm ply, and he cut them into 50 millimeters width battens, and whichever length we needed, and we drilled them straight into the chassis of the car using plasterboard screws. And that was to help give us a structural frame to the van to put our walls in and our floorboards and everything. So I don't think we quite realised that was even a thing when we started.
Well, I thought we wouldn't need to, and you wanted to do it. La 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 la. And then we insulated.
We insulated. Tell us about the insulation.
Well, we were going to use earth wool for the walls, but the floor wasn't high enough to use earth wool in the gaps, like the earth wool was.
75 mils thick.
70 fibres, and if you don't compress it works better. So basically we didn't want to compress it, so yeah, we couldn't put it in the floor, and so we just put this weird carpet stuff down from Bunnings, which was really thin, which we don't really know if it's doing a great deal, but at least it's something.
Ready.
The next bit of insulating was the Reflectix, which we what do?
Well, the confusing part was trying to figure out which way to put the Reflectix, because the theory is that the shiny side needs to have a gap between
An air
it.
gap.
And as you can see in our small little van, there's not much air gap.
Normally I think the shiny bit would be facing this way, so it
This
would
way?
be all shiny, like this way.
Facing in.
Yeah. And obviously we're putting the Reflectix right up against the wall, so there'd be no gap, so we thought we'd put the shiny bit on the outside.
The floorboards are 12mm thick pine.
Boards, not
Pine
even
boards.
floorboards. We probably should have got tongue and groove floorboards,
Yeah, we couldn't
But we
initially
struggled.
find any.
Yeah.
Couldn't find any.
and then apparently they're just down the road.
Yeah, we looked all over Adelaide. We used 20mm chipboard screws, which are countersunk. That means that on the screw head it's got little rivets to help the head of the screw into the floorboard rather than sitting above the floorboard. Whoa, I didn't know any of these things.
Neither.
We got out the sander.
And then we varnished. The varnish was an absolute saga again, because I got recommended a type of varnish. I was not sure whether to get the satin or the gloss. Decided gloss would be good. Then got home, so that was in Adelaide, I couldn't get it here. And then got home and it just would have been really shiny. So then went to the local one and got some other tongue oil, brought it home, Mum and Dad were like, So then we had some friends visit us from Adelaide and they brought the right one.
Got to keep all our receipts, because every time we go out on a bit of confidence and just buy something thinking it'll be alright, it's usually not. The walls. Our constant battle is saving space. So we had to try and think of how to get a wall that had the panelled look, because the panelled look is really important. So we had to think of how we could get the panelled look, because if we wanted to actually do individual panels, usually the panels come in a lot thicker wood, and we also had this curve to deal with.
So then Mum came up with this good idea of using the 7mm ply
Yeah.
and putting lines in it that make it look like they're panels, but it's just one, or it's like 3 sheets per wall.
So that's what you would have seen in previous weeks. Aaron using the track saw, and he went down, or every 100 mils he put a track down.
90, I thought.
So what it meant is that we could use 7mm thick plywood for our walls, and that's all it is, and it's drilled into the structural battens. We're basically losing 19mm of space all up.
The good thing about what we've done is that it looks like real walls, but also it has meant we can put some insulation in.
Alright, paint.
Paint. I went for something really white because I wanted to try something different. I tend to go for really warm, lots of colours, so I wanted to do something a bit different. So we went really white. I thought the floorboards and the white might clash.
I tried not to have any opinions about interior design things, because it's just not my area at all. But the floorboards, I was like, yo, let's keep the varnish really clear.
I did really like the natural pine look too. Just this, I think the pine is very yellow. I don't know if they really go, but
Yeah.
the white will, as it gets dirty, it'll be less bright.
Why don't we sign out? We're just going to keep things simple this week. We love you. Keep the likes coming. Keep those comments coming. We're just getting inundated with fan mail. Or shall we call it van mail?
We would actually really like more subscribers on Instagram.
Yeah. We don't know how to grow a social media business yet. We're actually just here to say goodbye. It's been a good week.
Again, thanks to Ellen for the amazing animation.
Yeah.
Bye.
See you next week.